So we are really honored to welcome our next guest speaker and sponsor for Make It 2021. And Zeph is a designer, is a former academic professional with teaching experience at University of Leeds, UK, FIDM Los Angeles, and UC Riverside. He was the lead gamification consultant for several edtech startups from 2009 to 2015. He has earned a bachelor's in commerce and an MSc with distinction in design and an MBA. He has won several awards for teaching and is convinced that 3D printing will change the way we consume products. We can't wait to hear you speak about your incredible journey, Zeph. Over to you.
Thank you very much. It's both an honor and a privilege to be here. I must commend you guys on setting up this conference. I think what you guys are doing, the work that you are doing in India is amazing. Also, it's great to be in this, in this peer group. I see Joel there. I see Shweta. These are guys whose work I do admire. So it's awesome to be here. So let me start by telling you a little bit about myself. My name is Zeph. I'm the founder of PM Maker Club, and we are an online maker space. We can design and make from anywhere. I'm going to talk you through what we actually do, and I know I have about 20 minutes on the clock here, so I'm going to keep it to time, and then hopefully we'll have some questions that I can answer for you guys about what I'm doing. So imagine you have an idea for a great product, but you lack the design and manufacturing skills. There's a lot of people like that right now, in a lot of situations, and this is something, it's not new. We haven't just discovered it. Their only option in the last few decades was to go to an industrial designer, which is just too expensive, right? And that's the problem that at Be a Maker Club, that's what we're actually solving. So the way we're solving it is that we're providing product education. So just like you would attend a coding boot camp where you learn how to code, we teach you how to make products with 3D printing and computer aided design. Our focus is on understanding what the process involves. So we start with your idea, you turn that into a CAD model, you print remotely, and then we ship it to you. And the remote fabrication part is really essential. I'm going to talk a little bit about it later, but this now allows you to create a physical object without actually having any physical facilities. And that's, if you like, our party piece. So all of this really started because of my 8-year-old daughter. She was creative, and while I was working at a maker space, she insisted that I teach her to make. Unfortunately, the maker space didn't allow children because there was a lot of industrial equipment not safe or suitable for children. But my daughter didn't give up. She kept insisting that I teach her how to make stuff. So I actually ended up buying devices, putting them in my garage, and started teaching her. And lo and behold, the next play date turned out to be a class with all of her friends. And that's how this whole thing developed. And I'm incredibly proud of this achievement, almost as much as I'm proud of Be a Maker Club, because what has happened is that through this process, this child has now actually become a 3D expert. What you see there is actually a creation of hers. This is something that she's able to make. And this sort of literal evidence has convinced me that anyone can make. So, and like her, we are helping creative people everywhere, people who just have an idea. That's all you really need now. You don't need access to manufacturing equipment. You can work from home. You don't need a in-depth understanding of the product design process. Our natural human curiosity is what we're going to leverage. And that's what we're focused on. Um, we actually started in 2018, as I mentioned, as a children's makerspace. During COVID, we took our pedagogical model and converted it into an online process. So we have worked in person with 6,035 students, and we worked online with 929, which is fairly recent. So there's been a interesting learning curve trying to take the in-person physical making process and transforming it into an online process. For this, we've had to build a lot of tools, including a learning management system and a remote fabrication system. Our teaching model was given a fellowship award by Claremont McKenna College. This is the Kravis Lab for Social Impact. And a textbook chapter in the early childhood education today has been written about our pedagogical process. So the way our online model works is people can access it at any level that they want. They can work at it asynchronously, by themselves as they want, which is what we call our DIY learning model. You have the hybrid model, which is currently live, where you actually attend a class. This is a very regular format, if you like. And then the last one is live one-on-one with an instructor, which is completely customized. So you just show up and you say, I want to make this or that, and the instructor just helps you make what you want. There's no time limit to that. The way we ship, and these are the two countries that we actually have a presence in now. So in the US, our makerspace is actually in Southern California. We ship from there. And in India, our makerspace is actually in Mumbai. So from the groups of students that have attended so far, we know that almost 51% of our users are hobbyists, people who are just curious. They just have ideas they love to make. The next big segment is students, and these students actually cover a vast swath, all the way from 5 years old to postgraduate students. Students who are either in architecture sometimes, or who are actually making prototypes. We have a whole bunch of people actually working on this. The next big group is Etsy sellers. People who want a side gig business. They have an idea for a product, but they don't have actual manufacturing expertise. This has become really popular in the recent years. Drop shipping would be another sort of a model for this. And the last one is small business. I actually really enjoy working with small businesses because they have widgets and gadgets that we like to make. So, for example, one of our neighbors runs a Pilates studios, and she has these machines which run on small wheels. Apparently those wheels are available only with a Canadian supplier, and costs her well over $450 to get shipped, because she has to buy them whenever they're available. So what we're able to do is fabricate those wheels for her at a fraction of the cost. Now, this is not extraordinary for us, but for a small business owner like her, this has an extraordinary impact. It completely liberates her in terms of a purchasing cycle and the number of times she needs to actually make the purchase. So in our introduction, Swati mentioned that I believe that 3D printing is kind of the future. And that's one of the reasons I believe that. And of course, it doesn't work for everybody, but the on-demand ability to get a product is something that a lot of people want. They aspire to it, and they know they want it, but they're restricted by what's available. Which brings me very nicely into sort of who is referring people to us. And this was all a discovery for us as well. So we partnered up with multiple education institutions, including schools and colleges, who sometimes actually have their own makerspaces. But because of liability reasons, staffing reasons, are not actually able to keep their makerspace open. And of course, in COVID, that this was very, very intense. Also, a lot of city libraries now have a mandate to run makerspaces, but a lot of librarians aren't trained to actually create products. Um, and then finally, we work with some local nonprofits here in Southern California, who actually want to teach STEAM subjects, introduce them to young students, and give them actual life skills or job related skills. And we're able to power all of these agendas for them. I'm going to show you a very quick product demo. Now, this is more a pedagogical model that we follow. It's not massively unique to us, but it's something that we've honed. And remember, I am a product designer, so my focus is always on the product design process. Um, I believe in the classic idea of learning to sketch. It doesn't matter how well you can draw, just putting your sketch down on paper is very important. That's how every student starts. Now, whether you're a 5-year-old or a 75-year-old, we get them to sketch, and that's how our process actually starts. Then we transform that sketch into a CAD model, and that's what we focus on. Now, this is the Make It conference. I'm not actually going to go into the details of how to do CAD, but I'm just walking through the stages of it. And then finally, this is what I call our party piece. We have rigged every single 3D printer that we have with a time-lapse camera. And this captures the actual physical process of the 3D print. I find that this is very, very important, especially in our online in our online teaching, because people like to see what the end physical product looks like. Now, a lot of the engineers that I've spoken to can kind of close their eyes and visualize what the final product might look like. But for people who are new to the process, they don't know what it's going to be like. And so watching a sample product is critically important for them. And every single project on our website, and we have well over 2,500 projects, has been made. So that means they know that if they follow the steps, they're going to see that exact result. It's not unpredictable. And that's the feedback that we've gotten, is that actually seeing someone else do it, right? It is learning by copying is actually how humans learned for centuries, right? And that's the same old model that we want to follow. So what's unique about us is we want to do the whole thing, right? Currently, I feel like, and this is obviously changing, but at least when I started to learn this, it felt like 3D printing, CAD, and the actual fabrication process was segregated. They were siloed. What we want to do is we're working with brand new users who don't understand. I mean, stepping up into creating their first CAD model, and then learning how to use a 3D printer. All of these are brand new, extensive learning curves for them. So we decided that we're going to cater for the entire process. So from skills training to curriculum to the free 3D models, provide remote 3D printing and video time lapse. That means I wanted to really remove all barriers where a person with just an idea can actually make something. And what we've observed is that, it doesn't matter if the thing that they make is not exactly what they had in mind, because it's like giving a man a fish or teaching them to fish, and we're opting to teach them to fish. And I have this very funny anecdote. This is very early on. I was teaching a class in 3D printing. We have this 6-year-old boy, and I distinctly remember it because of how he approached our class. So literally the first time, I'm teaching. Okay, so he walks in and I'm talking to everybody and saying, "Okay, guys, what do you think you want to make?" And usually, children in the elementary school age, they want to make toys or they want to repair something. They want to make something for mom, dad, their dog. So this boy said, I remember he's 6 years old. He said, "I want to print. I have a 3D printing. You can make anything." That's what I read. So I want to make a rocket sit in it and go to Mars. All of it in that, 45-minute class. And, obviously the adult in me wanted to say, hey, kid, this is not possible. But I didn't say that. I said, that's a great idea. Let's see how we can do that. And the funny thing is, this was early on, so I was also kind of nervous about kind of giving him that permission. But what turned out is that at the end of the 45 minutes, he made a small keychain that was shaped like a rocket. So I asked him, you wanted to actually make an entire rocket. You made this keychain. What's going on with that? Are you happy with what you've done? And he said, yeah, I think this is, I now have a plan. I said, yeah, what's your plan? So he said, look, today I made this small keychain. What I'm going to do is next class, I'm going to make it bigger and then bigger and then bigger till it's big enough for me to sit in. I mean, of course, that's still not a rocket, a functional rocket. And I think that would be impossible to do. But my point was that, and what I also understood at that point is that it didn't matter that the actual idea was not completely fulfilled, right, at the end of the class. So that was impossible. But now this child had learned that their idea can be made into a physical item. And so all he was really going to do is keep making it till he got to where he wanted. And I think that is what the goal for us is. So it's almost like the physical product is a byproduct of our process, right? Which really brings me to defining what our mission is, right? And it's taken a while for us to nail this down because, working with children was just so much fun. We sometimes got lost in having fun with them. But what we're focused on is helping creators in this new world where the internet has enabled access, unprecedented access to knowledge, right? So what we want to do is help create creators, not just consumers. I actually teach a class in retail at the University of Leeds, and I've worked myself in overseas manufacturing, and it's very much embedded in the process of mass manufacturing, where the consumer is thousands of miles away, and a design studio interprets a trend, right? And this 1-2 people decide that let's create this generic product that the mass market will buy, and then let's chase the lowest price overseas, right? And all of us are kind of going through that process right now. We all go buy products that are mass made in a different country. Sometimes, even if it's in the same country, it's not made where you are. And while that might be great for economics, it has had a detrimental effect on multiple things. Like here in the US, COVID has really exposed the problem with supply chain. I'm in Southern California, very close to the ports of Long Beach and Los Angeles. And for months now, when we go by the beach, you can actually see cargo ships lined up. It's like a big container ship traffic jam, right? And this has created havoc for small businesses, and lots of stores and lots of businesses have gone out, not because of the virus, but because the supply chain has been blocked and because nobody can make anymore, right? And while mass manufacturing will not go away, but what desktop manufacturing and definitely what 3D printing has done, as it has changed the landscape from you waiting for somebody else to create your idea. Now you can think it and you can make it, and for that, what we want to do is help that person get started, right? So I strongly believe, and this is a class like I said, I used to teach well over 10 years ago. I do believe that mass manufacturing will reduce. It won't go away because there are some significant benefits of it. And now customization isn't for the super rich anymore, or people with the abundance of like high end skills. Almost everybody can customize it. And I'm sure all of us have felt this. You're opening a door lever, or you're trying to open your car lever sometimes, and you're maybe short, tall, fat, thin, whatever. And sometimes you think, only if this thing was just 2 centimeters shorter, or only if this thing was a little bit fatter, or only if this knob had a little more edges, right? All of us have felt that when we've looked at a mass-produced product, and then you felt the frustration. Well, I can't do anything about this, right? Because um, somebody else has made it, and I don't know how to do this. And like I'll probably give you a more relatable example. I find buying phone cases for my phone extremely frustrating because either they're too fat, too thin, the wrong color, the wrong texture, the stand doesn't have the right angle for me. So, I mean, these are not significant complaints, clearly, right? I mean, I'm very much like a first world complaint almost. But the point is that with every single mass-produced object or product that I buy, there's always a small flaw that doesn't fit my situation, right? And for a very long time, we've been told that customization or personalization like that is only for the super wealthy or the super talented, people with access to make things. But that's not the case anymore. And that's the mission that really we're on. I wanted to introduce you to our team. I'm a full-time founder, former design professor from the University of Leeds. David is our manufacturing expert. He led product design at another startup called Sunblocks, which made math toys. Jason is our lead instructor. He worked with the the laser engraving company Ponoko. And Jadamis is our CAD expert. He actually is a fractional CTO for a electric vehicle charging station company called Kidget, where he designed the actual product. So between us, we have well over 60 years of product design experience, and all of us are makers. I mean, that's our first love. We love to make stuff. So, that's what we want to do, help makers around the world. I think I'm very much at the 20-minute mark. I hope, you guys enjoyed what I said, and maybe had some, maybe if you have questions, please put them in the chat box. I'd love to answer some questions.
Yeah. So, Zeph, my personal question to you. When you started off, what were the real, roadblocks, what you faced? Because skilling up, I saw the matrix where did a comparison with Be a Maker Club, Thingiverse, and rest of the others, right? And you were like providing all of them all together. How difficult or how easy was it for you to do?
Well, I think starting something new is never easy, for sure. But I think one of the challenges, or one of the frustrations that we really experienced was it is now reflected in our mission statement. Like, how do you go from, oh, I want to make this thing, to then going, oh, right, so to design it, I got to learn CAD. So there's a learning curve, like it's a new software I got to deal with, even if it's online, the whole computer issue. Then once the design is ready, I have to fabricate it. And then you have to learn, well, oh, 3D printer, right. So how does that work? Right. Oh, it works like this. You got to balance you got to level the bed. I mean, I'm sure a lot of leveling the bed. Oh my God, that's an amazing, that's a frustrating challenge. For new users who actually who are not engineering, haven't been in an engineering background, or they're not looking to make something revolutionary. I mean, they're not on a product journey where they're like, well, I'm gonna change the world by making this product. It becomes an extraordinary learning challenge, a mental challenge, where they have to go through these multiple curves, which are quite, steep. And so that's what we had to go through. So when we first started, for example, when I was trying to do CAD, everybody was like, okay, well, you know how to design, say, for example, on paper, like a 2D design. Turning that into 3D requires learning this, learning this, learning this. Okay, so we started talking to our product designers, right? then when it came to actually thinking, okay, you should talk to an industrial designer. You should talk to a lot of my engineering friends. And some of the advice they started giving is, right, make sure the temperature is like this, make sure the ambient temperature is like this. And so, I didn't even understand some of those terms. So probably the best way to explain this is through an anecdote, right? So I said we worked with children earlier. So while we were working with Claremont McKenna College, we actually organized this backyard birthday party, right? And because my daughter was instrumental in setting this up, I always wanted to make sure that we were, and there's a bias in STEM, with girls with the language. So anyway, one of the project that we set up was a CNC project, right? The children were making lamp holders. And this was a girls' birthday party, 12-year-old girls' birthday party, so all the kids were girls. And we told them that we have two projects for you. One is an art and design project, and the other is an engineering project, right? And we explained it in those terms, in those formats. And we said, which one would you like to do? Almost, I would say 94% of the girls in that birthday party picked the art and design project. But the reality was the project was exactly the same, just described differently. So my point here was that, in trying to answer your question is that, something very simple as the terminology that we use to describe things. And instead of telling people, well, this is a 3D model, there are three planes, you say, hey, look at this object, there's a height there, there's a depth there, or like, without getting into technical details, right? Because that intimidates people who don't understand the language, who don't understand those terms. And so that's what we discovered. That was our challenge. And it was highlighted to me because I work with children. And so, that's what we are also trying to resolve. So we're trying to solve the problems that we experienced.
Yeah, thanks for that example. A lot of insight from kids. It's lovely. So, Zeph, one more question, and then we can wrap it up. So, how would you describe your target audience for Be a Makers Club? Who should join that kind of club?
Right. Well,
Yeah.
anybody with an idea, honestly, and I know that sounds very broad. And of course, we started working with children, but nearly 40% of our user base right now is not children. And I kind of go back. I think the best way to describe this is go back to this chart here. So this is actually what our audience is comprised of now. We have hobbyists, students, people who are running side gigs, and small business owners. That's pretty much what our audience is. And age is not a factor. A lot of the funny thing is a lot of adults came to us because we started working with the kids. A lot of grandparents and grandkids have done classes together.
Wow, wow. That's the beauty of 3D printing, isn't it? And that's the beauty of movers like you and Joel and Yukun and everybody who are trying to make difference. And till the hobbyist section covers up approximately 5.9%.
Yeah, yeah,
In future, maybe when there's a need, there's a requirement, this section of the users is gonna decrease, and the small businesses is gonna grow, so that we can promote idea to the whole community, isn't it?
yeah.
So
I mean,
with
we're in the
this,
creator economy now. We're in the creator economy. We're seeing that in media, and that it's not it's the barn door is open, right? It's not we can't yeah, we can't
definitely.
change it back now. So
Yes, absolutely. So with this, thank you so much, Zeph, for putting in a lot of effort. Actually, you gave us insights from your perspective, from your point of view, and it has been pleasure having you here.